Alright, good morning people of YouTube. So this time we are back to talk about Magnamon X and a couple different ways that you can play this deck. So this is the deck that I am the most excited to try out in the BT16 meta. We are going to be covering a couple different blue bases. Yellow base will be coming later, the vaccine variant, but that is going to require a little bit more testing on my end before I'm comfortable sharing that list. But without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get into this. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And let's talk about Magnamon X a little bit. So a lot of players are considering this to be one of the most broken cards ever printed. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. They're all wrong. This is a phenomenal card, sure, but it is not like Shine Greymon Ruin mode levels of powerful. What makes this card stand out is that it is highly splashable in a lot of different strategies and replaces a couple level 6s in the meta as their new boss monster. What this card does is it has blocker and armor purge, which is really cool. It has this neat all turns effect. When a card is removed from a security, you can activate one of this Digimon's Wind Digivolving effects. This is a once per turn effect. So if you Blinding Ray yourself, you trash your own security, gain 2 memory, and then this effect will trigger Wind Digivolving effect. If you swing with a smaller dude at security, you'll trigger this effect. Any time a security is removed at all, you get your Wind Digivolving effect, which is the part of the card that people are worried about. It says, if Magnamon X Antibody, or a card with the Armor Form trait is in your Digivolution cards, this Digimon isn't affected by your opponent's effects, gets plus 3,000 DP until the end of their turn, and then unsuspend this Digimon. This card gets to 15k, potentially 18k since the boost lasts the end of your opponent's turn, and then it can trigger again on their turn because of the all turns effect. This card gets really big and is pseudo-indestructible. You can kill it in battle, but you have Armor Purge, so it's a really strong card. This card is still weak to effects like Raid. If your opponent evolved into Venusmon on their previous turn, and you Digivolve into this, your Wind Digivolving effect will not activate, so you can't become immune. So there are still weaknesses to this card. That being said, the deck that it is meant to be played in is a fast rushdown deck, that the only thing that was missing from that deck was an ability to stick a body on the board that was uninteractable to ensure your final push. And this card is a phenomenal answer for that. So we'll go ahead and get into the Magnamon list that I'm thinking will be a little bit more standard. Your standard go up the chain, evolve into Magnamon, focus on a couple different Vmons, maybe splash some Mukos. This is going to be that list. So starting off with the Digitama, we aren't playing the Draw Eggs, we are playing the new Demi Vmon that gives us extra DP. Make Magnamon bigger, make sure that we are surviving our security checks. It's a really good egg. And then we are playing one copy of the Demi Vmon from the starter deck that says get 1,000 if you have 8 or more cards in your hand. That's pretty good. Having DP buffs is really fantastic for this deck, but we are wanting to play Demi Vmon eggs because we are including the ST15 Vmon, which I did cover briefly in the Imperial video. But it says if another one of your Digimon is played or Digivolves, if that Digimon is free, you gain a memory, which is this entire deck except Zudo Ace. It's really fantastic at establishing extra memory. This card plus the promo Vmon can give you essentially like a Magnamon for 1. These two can combine even further with effects like Mental Training and just start stacking you value. So the Vmons that I am playing, I think the BT12 one is mandatory in pretty much every variant of Magnamon. It's your primary searcher, it hits your Davis, it hits your Ukomons, your Magnas. It's a really good card, and I think this is the mandatory 4 of. I think the promo Vmon is a mandatory 4 of in most lists. This is the one that reduces the cost of Digivolution by 1 if you have a Tamer in play, which is very easy to establish in this deck. And I think these are your 2 most important ones. From there, it kind of gets a little bit flexible. I wanted to include one more searcher in this base list, so I am playing one copy of the starter deck Vmon, but I did really value the jamming Vmon because of how aggressive this deck could get. But I didn't want to see multiple, because there are a lot of times where you want to search or you want other effects to proc. And in my previous variants of Armor List, I was playing more copies of this card. This is a deck that really values getting into the Magnamon X, and now that that is searchable, we are upping our searcher count, which unfortunately means we are dropping this card, but it is still a great card, and it is something that I think players should test with, and see how many they want to play. So going into the Ukomon package, I see a lot of Magnamon players post-list going into BT16 that are not playing Ukomon. Why? What's wrong with you? Who hurt you? This card is phenomenal, and you are shooting yourself in the foot for not playing it. The promo one has just been a staple in Armors since this card came out. It's really fantastic, gets you extra memory, gets you extra bodies, extra breeding phases, really good. This is just a phenomenal card. But the new one also searches all of your pieces for you, and still and still hatches another egg, which makes it really fantastic. The one downside to the new Ukomon is that it does cost 1 to evolve in the back, but something very easily that you can do is evolve any Vmon that is not a Searcher Vmon in the back on turn 1, hard slam this guy for 3, and then on your next turn you get an extra body, you get a Search, you get the Promote, you have this Ukomon, and you're just snowballing value. It's a really good card. So I did want to do a full house split, play 5 Ukomons, because I still wanted to play a bunch of Vmons. Having rookies that can evolve into your Magnamons is very important, so you don't want to overcrowd the deck with the Ukomon. But the Ukomon are really important, and so I feel like you should play them. Going into the level 4s, I'm sure you'll all notice the one of outlier here being the Gold Vidramon. This card is really cool because it does evolve for 2 from a Vmon, and because Magnamon X says it needs an armor trait in its sources in order to be able to get that when digivolving effect. And this is one of the cheapest ways that you can get into a Magnamon, is if you use like this promo Vmon or this Vmon or some combination of like mental training to go into this for free, and then activate Awakening of the Golden Knight to go into Magnamon X for 3 memory. Doing a play like this, you can cascade into a Jesmon GX and just annihilate all of your opponent's security. This is a really cool tech for the deck. I don't know if it's going to stick. I still need to test with it a little bit more, but it does snipe Ukos. It stuns a lot of level 4s in the meta, like especially going up against Rapidmon decks. It's a really nice card. I do really like it, and I think maybe we should experiment with it. As far as the rest of the Magnas, 4 of the ST17, 2 copies of the BT13, and 4 copies of the BT8 are all pretty standard. Players are playing in between 9 and 11 Magnamon pieces. I am at that 9, with a 10th slot being the Gold Vidra. And yeah, this Magnamon from BT8 is really good for the restand for the extra aggression. We are still playing Zudo Ace in this list, but I had to bump it down to 3 copies, but Magnamon X is so oppressive that you don't really need to be blast evolving as much, but this card is still really good in the opening of the game. Being able to slam a body for 4, bounce things, and strip other sources is fantastic whenever you're putting on such an aggressive early game. And then I'm playing 2 GX, mostly because I want to see this card, so I don't want to bottom deck all my copies of it when I'm playing this variant of the list. But this card is really cool at just nuking whatever your opponent's doing, especially in the mirror match where their Magna X can redirect you. You can go into the GX and go, alright, redirect me now. I dare you. And then they will die, and it's funny. Jesmon GX is one of those cards that can copy the when digivolving effect of other Royal Knights, which includes the broken when digivolving effect of Magnamon X, giving you an uninteractable level 7 with Blitz and Sec attack up at least 2. That's really fantastic, especially when you have so many ways to get an unsuspend with the BT8 Magna and this new Magnamon X, meaning that you can swing with your level 6, then go into GX, get the unsuspend and Blitz. It's really funny. Yeah, it's a really good card. But yeah, that's it for the Digimon, so we'll go into the Tamers next. We're still playing 2 copies of Louis, because Louis with Uko is still good. Louis with Armors is still good. Having extra memory at the start of your turn for playing the game is really good. This is just a really good card, but I didn't want to overfill my deck with it. So we are cutting down to 2 copies. Playing one of the Memory Setter Davis is a good searcher, and it's searchable by your BT12 Vmon, so that's nice. And we are playing 3 copies of the Davis. Because we are only playing 12 Vmons, I feel like this card is kind of dead in your hands sometimes if you are playing the maximum 4 copies without playing like 13 to 14 Vmon. So 3 felt like the perfect ratio for this deck. It's still a phenomenal card. Just because I'm trimming it down a little bit does not mean it is any less valuable this format than it was in BT15. But for the options, you know, standard stuff. Heaven's Judgment is really stupid, especially since Magnamon X is 3 colors. This is a phenomenal card. Awakening of the Golden Knight is really cool now, especially since Magnamon X antibody would cost 5 to go into. This card makes it reduced by 2. That's absolutely fantastic. We have Mental Training, we have Blue Boost, split the boost up a little bit so that we can dig a little deeper if we aren't finding our top end, but you could just play 2 Mental Training if you wanted. I am choosing to include a Fire Rocket in this list. This card is nice, but just note that if you are playing this card in Magnamon X, that Magnamon X himself is for some reason not an armor form. So you cannot Fire Rocket a Magnamon X unless you already have another armor in play. So just keep note of that. But yeah, this is this variant of the list. Standard Jesmon GX, climb the tower, annihilate your opponent's security stuff. It's really solid, really good. Test it out. This is the list, however, that I'm the most excited to play. So this is a super low to the ground variant of armors. Akin to kind of what I was playing in BT15. We are playing a whopping 7 Ukomon. I was originally testing 8, but that felt a little too much, so we bumped down to 7 with 3 Louis and 4 Davis, meaning that we're spamming the board with a bunch of rookies. We play 17 in this list. Let's see, where's the stats? Stats. Boom. Oh, we're playing 19, I can't count. That's a lot of rookies, but it's really cool because we're getting a lot of raising phases off of these. These are providing us tremendous value. These cards are floating into more Vmons. We're upping the jamming Vmon count, and we're also playing the jamming Bukamon egg, meaning that we can get a Vmon to live a security check and then go into the BT8 Magna. So we're playing 4 copies of the BT8 Magna. This list omitted the Gold Vigramon in favor of just 10 Magnas. Meaning we can cut the Awakening down by 1. And we have the Wanyas to get us the extra draws with the 4 Davis, like I said. This is a very consistent and very fast list, which does have still a little bit removal because you are playing the 2 Zudo Ace, the 2 Death X, and the 1 Full Moon. But I couldn't find room for the Heaven's Judgment in this variant. But yeah, this list is designed to deal with a lot of threats fast and efficiently. It's a deck that just wants to punch face really hard, and I really like it. Something to note is that this list is going to include the Blinding Ray, because being able to sit on a Magnamon X is nice. We are not evolving into GX in this list, so we can't get the Recycle on that stack if we need it at some point in the game without risking a swing first, like if you're playing into Security Control or something. So we are playing the Blinding Ray, and this card does let you get a little bit more aggressive, because with these Ukomons gaining you memory, with these Davis, this Louis gaining you memory, you can actually use Blinding Ray to get a fair bit of extension on your turns, which is kind of nice. But yeah, this is the list that I am most excited to play. 7 Ukos, 13 Vmons, and you go into Magnamon X, you draw a bunch of cards, and you punch your opponent really quickly. I really like this. This is how I was playing Armors in BT15, and I saw a lot of success with it. Going into the final build that I'm going to bring you, you'll notice that this is pretty similar to the list that I just showed you. However, we are playing the Big Ukomon. So, for those of you that want to play Big Ukomon in the BT16 meta, I wish you luck. I think that this card is kind of a trap. On paper, it reads pretty good, but it is a little bricky. It's one of those cards that I wish was a lot better than I think it actually is. But if you're gonna play it, this is a deck that can make full advantage of it, because this is a deck that gains tremendous value from your Uko pieces. These cards are free traits, so they are searchable by the BT12 VMon, which means they're really fantastic. Something that both of these lists that I did just show you are playing the one copy of the BT16 VMon. No more, because we aren't playing the Demi V Egg, so if you want to evolve this card in the back, you actually have to pay for it, which means this is a prime target to play off of Davis. But it is still really good. It has a lot of good effects, and the inheritable DP buff can come up sometimes. But yeah, this is a list that is focused on just swinging face, getting a bunch of rookies, but you actually have the Louis and the big Uko combo to kind of recycle some Digi-Eggs, get a level 6 in the back, get a free promote, and do a lot of other things. So this is a deck that kind of has an alternative line. We are bumping Zudomon Ace up a little bit because Big Uko can actually evolve on top of it. It does alter the line a little bit, and it does give us a different avenue of play, but it is kind of neat. It does things. One thing that I don't necessarily like about this card is the on deletion to return Tamers to their owner's hands. But you do get to play a Tamer again for free, which is nice, which means you can kind of recycle this Davis, but you are getting a lot of memory just by having these Tamers in play. So it is something that definitely warrants some testing. If you are going to try to play Big Uko, I think Magnamon X is a good deck to try it in. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. These are the 3 Magnamon lists that are blue base that I brought before you today. I think this one with the GX is going to be the most standard. At the start of the format, you're going to see a lot of people playing a lot of these cards. And then I think this one, the one with all the Ukos, is what's probably going to be the best variant when the dust settles. Just because this deck is fast. It does so many things so quickly. And yeah, I don't think anybody's going to get any success with this variant with the Big Uko. But I wanted to show you guys it because it's really funny, and it could get you some really funny results. So that's all I have to show you guys today. We will see you guys in the next video talking about some more BT16 shenanigans. So make sure you like and subscribe, everybody. Peace out.